Hello, and welcome to another episode of YPO Presents. I'm Ekaterina Walter, Marketing Director at YPO, and today we're speaking with YPO member Jennifer Maanavi. Now, Jennifer is an accomplished entrepreneur and thought leader with more than 20 years of success across health and wellness, fitness, and financial services industries. She's the CEO and co-founder of Physique 57, the fitness company with 13 studios in 5 countries, a rapidly growing global on-demand business, and a newly launched US franchise program. Jennifer is also a co-author of the Physique 57 Solution, a highly regarded fitness how-to book. Now, today, Jennifer is here to talk to us about her outlook for the fitness industry and, most importantly, and more exciting for me personally, to give us tips on maintaining health during the crisis. Jennifer, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. This is a pleasure.
Oh, pleasure is all ours. Now, before we get started, would like to remind you to, those of you who are watching live, to ask our guest questions by posting them in the comments section below. And if you're not following us already, please do so you can receive a notification when our next episode begins. All right, back to our current episode. Jennifer, let's talk a little bit about fitness industry. With many people quarantined and sort of working out from their houses, from their homes, have you seen an increase in your on-demand offerings usage?
Definitely. So we've actually, luckily, not only do we have 13 studios, but we also, about a decade ago, launched a video on demand program. So we have been in this game for a long time, competing in the on-demand space. And I would have, I think a lot of companies have seen a huge increase in their subscriptions. So March for us, I mean, it's we're not happy about this pandemic by any stretch of the imagination, but we did see a way into the triple-digit increase of our on-demand business. And we had been at it for a long time, so people were familiar with it. So our studio clients quickly became on-demand subscribers, and then we've even innovated from there. So now we have a suite of digital products that we're offering. And I'm so happy to say and see that people are working out. And I actually think people are working out more often than they were before the coronavirus.
So you weren't the pivot for you wasn't that challenging, right? What is the new what are the new things that you implemented? I mean, is there any way coronavirus impacted sort of your offerings or the way you are presenting them to your customers, the way you're connecting with your customers? Anything new?
Yeah, huge impact. I mean, so even though we've had this product for a long time, we had to completely rethink our business, and we will continue to do that for the next, I don't know, 4 to 5 years. I think it's completely different. The fitness industry will not be the same, in my opinion, for years and years and years. And I think there's a lot of optimism out there that should be rethought. But I'll talk about that in a bit. But I think that what we had to do was really pivot the business quite a bit because we can't make pre-recorded videos like we were. Obviously, I'm in the studio now, but our studios to the general public are closed, so we cannot produce content the way we used to. So we have a very, very small, lean team now. We've always been lean, but it's leaner now than ever. And what we are doing is not only advancing our efforts around the video on demand business, but we wanted to create something that was live to be more engaging. So the video on demand business is pre-recorded videos, which people were very accustomed to. But now in this era, we really want to provide solace, engagement, connectivity, and a whole new way to relate and connect to our clients. So we've been doing live classes from our instructors' living rooms. And we've been doing that through Instagram. And now we have our own technology that we partnered with our own POS system to create more live classes that we'll be launching. So we haven't gone the Zoom route. We haven't used outside sources. We're doing this all internally. But what we've had to do is create ways to rejuvenate the product for people to do at home and for all of our clients to do at home, not just our traditional at-home clients, but our studio clients. So it's new. Working out at home is new to a lot of people. So we've had to innovate on the platform. We've had to innovate on the product. And we really had to up our game on performance and how we're delivering this new product, this Physique 57 product to our clients. So it's been a ton of work. So yes, we've had a product for a long time. We've had to completely rethink the business, and it will be the Physique 57 as people know it. It will never be the same.
Well, so with a lot of competition out there, how are you differentiating Physique 57?
Well, very much so by what I've been talking about. I think but we've had the fortune of knowing how to produce and perform in videos for almost a decade. And similar to acting, similar to singing, dancing, all of that is very different when you do it in different mediums. So the way that you teach an exercise class in a studio is very different from how you're going to perform it on camera. And I hope that fitness professionals can grow and become better in that area, because it's not really talked about so much. So you can have a phenomenal fitness instructor in person who's just not great on camera, and you can also, good news is you can be not such a great fitness instructor in the studio, but be fantastic on camera. So it's different skill sets. So we have been, and we have studios in 5 countries, and we have been educating and helping all of our instructors around the world perform better on camera. So as far as the platform is concerned, we are using Instagram, which is very popular and pretty easy to use, as you probably know. We've also partnered with our POS system, which is My Body, to create a new online program. So it's going to be frictionless to the customer. So I think that's a differentiating factor. You don't have to go to Zoom or something else. You can just use the same way you signed up for class is the exact same way you're going to sign up for your online live class. It's called Physique 57 Live online. Very excited about that. And the product. So our trainers are really choreographers. And I think that hopefully people will start to realize especially in the US, that fitness instructors have a whole toolkit of skills, and they're not just people who know how to exercise. They're really people who know how to motivate, encourage, cueing, sequencing, safe exercises. And doing that at home is completely different than when you're in person. So we have been spending a lot of time on the performance aspect of our product, as I was saying, and then also the product. So we've had to change our choreography. We've had to change a lot of things that we do in the studio to create workouts at home. So the product is very different. So it's the product, the performance, and the platform.
Yeah, I love that. That's fantastic, right? Because your in-home environment is totally different in the environment of a fitness or a dance studio or a class studio, right? So let's go back to something you said. You said fitness industry will never be the same. What is your outlook for brick and mortar fitness studios? I mean, do you expect your clientele to return in full force once sheltered home orders are lifted, or and what precautions or practices do you expect to roll out when clients return? What's your view?
So even though I don't think the fitness industry will ever be the same, I actually think it's ultimately going to be stronger. So I don't really mean that in a pessimistic way. I just think that people will think about and access fitness completely differently, and that will go on forever. Um, and so so I just wanted to, I think people just need to be more realistic about what this all is going to look like, because fitness is very, very much tied to psychology. I mean, why do most people not work out? There's a whole conversation that's the next call, is why people why people don't even work out. Why do people have issues with exercise? And I think that what's going to happen is we're going to have to think about the psychology behind this. So, for example, there are people in this, and I'm thinking about the world. I'm not just talking about the U.S. I mean, there's people. One thing I have found with studios all over the world is that, and we cater mostly to women, which I'll just say about 99% of our clients are women. And I have found that the psychology around exercise is the same in every single country for all women. So there's some people that consider, like me, I consider exercise to be essential. I don't consider it to be a discretionary activity. So it's something that I think I have to do almost every day. And there will be people out there that agree. And those people that think that exercise is essential, they will be the first people to go back to their exercise studios. However, we also have to consider the fact that we're going to enter a global recession. So you have to think about who is going to prioritize that spend. So in hierarchy of your needs, where does fitness lie? The people who want to allocate discretionary income to fitness will, and some people might not. And when I say their spend going to a studio tends to be more, or your gym tends to be more expensive than doing it at home. So, and then there's people that are going to have an appetite for risk. And Are you living with vulnerable individuals? How much risk do you want to take on going back into public? And that would be for exercise, restaurants, movie theaters, etc. So there's really three things you have to think about when you think about the consumer. And I don't think that everyone is going to come rushing back to the gym. I think for one, your most loyal clients will come back. Will they come back 7 days a week? I'm not sure, but I do think they want to come back and they want to see people. But the other people who might have come, or your low frequency users, might really take their time coming back. If there was someone who was only coming to the gym once or twice a month, yeah, I don't know that you're going to expect them to come necessarily anytime more. And in fact, they might have found that working out at home makes perfect sense to them. So I just think that, while I'm optimistic about the industry, what I'm talking about specifically here is just people coming back into the gym. And we're going to have to really build a lot of trust and some sense of certainty that our locations are safe, that they're clean, that we're following protocols. And it's going to take a long time for people to get comfortable with that. But the good news is that I have seen that I think these people who weren't even working out before are working out now from home. So I believe that there needs to be a complete integration between the studio experience or the gym experience and the at-home experience. And thinking about clients coming back is not going to make sense for you. You want to think about keeping clients connected and engaged, however they're going to access your brand. So I'm not going to prioritize my in-studio clients over my at-home clients. They're just all clients. And we have clients in 120 countries already. So I don't think it's better for you to come into the studio. I want to meet you where you are. If you're comfortable to come back, great, we're here for you. We're going to follow all the protocols and then some. And if you want to stay home and work out in your living room forever, that's great. I'm going to have that for you too. So Physique 57, especially, and I think other gyms too, have always thought about meeting people where you are, because you also, on top of that, have to break down fitness users by beginners, advanced. We've always had to meet people where you are. We have new clients. We've been around for 14 years. We've had new clients every single day. Sometimes people haven't worked out ever, and sometimes they've just done triathlons. And we just always have to meet you where you are. And now we are meeting you either virtually or in person. And Physique 57 is not going to prioritize who's more important. And I don't think any fitness facility can do that. You have to care for and have compassion and products for all of your clients, no matter where they are.
Jennifer, we have a question. Marie Cusick is asking, since all exercise has gone digital online, how do you continue to interact and engage with the clients and customers beyond workout videos? I think you answered that partially. Any additional thoughts?
That's a great question. I think, so speaking for Physique 57 or some of the popular boutique fitness studios, you're very much known for your method, obviously, and delivering results. But relationships form pretty quickly. So people will have their favorite instructor. They'll have their favorite front desk person. We call it the client success team. It's very much of a people business. And it's a great question that this individual asked, because we are thinking about how to keep those relationships going. So for example, we did a Zoom call last week, and there was no exercise involved. We just did a phone call with our annual members and my co-founder, Tanya Becker, and our VP of operations, and both are amazing instructors, and they've been doing a lot of the Instagram training. And we just talked. We just talked for an hour, and they had fun questions like, what do you do with your kids when you're doing your live classes? They want to know what people are eating. They want to know what we're all up to, and we want to know what they're up to. So I have seen, which is fantastic, I have seen a real elevation in our connectivity. Now, that's with a small base right now. So, truth be told, that was with, I think, probably 30 people on a phone call. And now the next step is how do we make that different? So, one thing we started to do with the newsletter, which we hadn't done before, there's no necessarily interaction, but we're talking about nutrition. We're talking about other tips on this newsletter. So we've really gone beyond exercise for that. We have a very, very engaged Facebook community for our video on demand product. So there's been a lot more interaction there. So I think what we want to do, and other gyms will probably do, is figure out how do you connect even without exercise, because we all know that we have something in common. And very often that's what can ignite a very long-term relationship. Whether or not you're actually exercising together, we have a lot in common with our clientele that we've built up across the world for the last decade and a half.
So talking about you mentioned questions about the kids. So let's pivot from fitness industry to actual sort of wellness tips. But what I want to start with is, can we talk about, has your personal fitness regime changed with stay-at-home order in place? I know you have 3 kids, so I know a lot of folks are, it's challenging for them to work from home and take care of the kids and homeschool them. So talk to me about your regime. What are you doing differently? And are there any tips that we can draw from?
Sure. So it's very challenging. I mean, I know there's lots of, emails and things out there about like taking time for yourself and arts and crafts with your kids and going for long walks. I mean, I really have not had time for a lot of things. So for me personally, working full time, homeschooling, I have 3 children. 2 of them need a bit more attention than the older one, but it's really hard. It is really hard. And I give credit to everyone at the end of the day, for whatever you've accomplished. And for me, and some advice we've been giving to people is really finding that alone time. And sometimes that can just come from waking up a bit earlier. So I've actually always woke up earlier, but it was really getting ready and getting the kids ready for school and taking them to school. And I've replaced that time with just me time. So in my living room, I am by myself from 6 to 8. The kids come out around 8 o'clock. And that's when I work out. And I used to work out for an hour a day. I find that it's hard, and I've seen this with other people. It's hard to work out for a full hour by yourself in your living room. So I've been doing like half-hour workouts every day in the morning and just selecting from different products that Physique has. We have over 200 videos in our library. Plus we have the live classes, and on Instagram they get paid for 24 hours. So I pick a workout, I do about a half hour. I do actually do meal planning, and I would suggest this to other people too. I would really suggest that everyone think about what your food's going to look like for the whole day. It's very hard to walk into the kitchen starving at 11 or start at 12 o'clock and start thinking about, what should I have for lunch? Because that's when you're just going to start grabbing for things. So I think in that time in the morning, not only getting your workout done, but thinking about what you want to eat for the rest of the day. And what I do is I actually pull those things out of the refrigerator already. So I stack up the vegetables and I stack up the fruit, and I just see it and I know that that's what I'm going to go to. So thinking about your meals for the whole day is a lot better than being spontaneous. I'm also a big fan of the cutting board, which I know might sound a little strange, but most of the things that you're going to slice and dice on a cutting board are going to be healthier than bags you're going to go grab in the snack cabinet, which I'm sure we all have, especially with kids. So that snack cabinet is the last resort. Like by the time you're opening that cabinet, something's gone very wrong. And I open it every day, so something's gone wrong for me every single day. But that's like the last place you want to go. The first place you want to go is the cutting board, which means ultimately that you have to pick up some fruit or a vegetable to slice up. So just cutting it, and also your kids will see that, and I think they might be drawn to that also. So I cut up apples, and the kids just, on a perfect day, the kids are eating that pretty often, strawberries, etc. Vegetables also, and then also think about the refrigerator first. Always go to the refrigerator before anything else, because food in the refrigerator is more likely to be healthy than, again, that dreaded snack cabinet. So thinking about that, and also just just always trying to pick something healthier before you pick something that's unhealthy. I also think, one thing that I have found to be difficult is, and I think we all know this phrase, eat in moderation, or people will say, I might eat something unhealthy on Saturday, but I'm healthy all week. My experience, and I've been in quarantine for as long as most people have, I have had a hard time with that, because there's not much of a difference between Saturday night and Tuesday night, or Wednesday morning and Sunday afternoon. The days are all kind of the same. So I find that the adage of eating in moderation is difficult. And I would just say, just really try to eat healthy all the time. Of course, we're all going to have a fun snack here and there. But I think in this, I've seen, people are talking about the COVID-15 and I think it's true. And I would just say, you just have to be a little stricter with yourself. Unfortunately, I mean, I'm sorry to say that, but I think people need to be a little bit stricter with themselves. And some of our go-to vices, chocolate, alcohol, things like that, have to really be scrutinized. And you just have to really think about how hard it is to lose weight later. I mean, losing weight is so hard, and it's a real pain in the neck. So if we're going to have enough issues with reintegrating after all of this, adding on some fierce diet to lose 10 pounds is going to be very hard. So if you could just think like to not even have to lose the 10 pounds would be better. So I just think this isn't really time to let yourself go. It's really
Well,
not.
Jennifer, and exactly, yeah, I mean, if only we'll have the strong will for that. Well, listen, talking about nutrition tips, right? You in our previous conversation, you mentioned that you think breakfast, the whole differentiation between breakfast, lunch, and dinner is just superficial, and breakfast was probably a
Yes.
marketing ploy. Talk to us about sort of any additional nutrition tips beyond the ones you mentioned, and what is your view just on staying healthy
Yeah,
just
so I think
in this time?
one thing about this COVID experience is I think it's very quick to get tired of what you're used to. I think we all have our go-to. I don't really cook very well, but I have some go-to recipes. I have go-to lists on my Fresh Direct, which is here in America. So you end up just eating the same thing because on your way to work or out and about, you're not going to these places to just pick up something different. So I was just going crazy about 3 weeks into quarantine. Like I think I've eaten the same 10 things for the last 3 weeks. And so I've tried to get a little more variety in there, for what I can. But one thing that I had started many, many, many years ago was to rethink the norms around breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I have found that, and we all know, one of my tips would be make sure that your breakfast is the healthiest, most important meal of your day. So that's really where you should put a lot of thinking into what your breakfast is, because it sets the tone for your entire day. And breakfast foods are really, really hard to find at home. And there really is no such thing as a breakfast food. And I don't find that anything that is categorized as breakfast, maybe eggs, because that's traditionally breakfast, but other than eggs, I have not found that anything in America that is categorized as a breakfast food is healthy. Or is really what you should be eating in the morning. I mean, why are bagels a breakfast? Why should we be eating bagels? I don't know. And why should that be a breakfast? I don't really understand that. Cereal isn't very healthy. Most cereals aren't healthy. So what I started to do again many years ago is think about having more lunch foods for breakfast. Like this morning and yesterday morning, when I was talking to you yesterday, I had soup. So I had a ginger carrot soup this morning, and I put some cauliflower pasta in it. And it's incredibly filling, and it's really just a take on oatmeal. And oatmeal is yummy, but I mean, it's hard to eat oatmeal 7 days in a row. It's hard to eat anything 7 days in a row. So one tip I would have, as we're all home and in our kitchens all day and thinking about our meal planning, is to just throw away any preconceived notion you have for what should be breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and just eat healthy food, warm food. The intensity a little more comforting, pretty much all day. And you could even have your omelet for dinner, and you could have a sandwich for breakfast. It's just keep yourself going with energy, and the better food you eat, the more clarity you have in your thinking. And there's such an association, which is a whole other discussion, about food and mood. And we really need to keep our moods up. We need to have clear thinking. We need to be calm. The exercise is going to give you your endorphins. And so much of our outlook and the way that we can get through the day is based on what we're eating, what we're doing, what we're thinking. And just you have to think about every single thing you're doing to your body right now and staying healthy.
Jennifer, let's talk about frequency of exercise. Conventional wisdom says 3 times a week. What is your take?
Well, good news. Now you can work out 7 days a week.
Darn it!
So here's what I have found pretty quickly. Almost all of the clients that are doing our Instagram program or doing our on-demand program are working out about 5 to 7 days a week. I'm not suggesting that everyone has to start doing that, but I have seen an uptick in frequency. And also a lot of these on-demand programs, which you see now and you probably see, are monthly subscriptions. So you might as well work out that from a cost standpoint, you might as well take advantage of it. I believe that this will change that conventional wisdom of, for the next, say, 2 to 3 years, the conventional wisdom of the 2 to 3 times a week. 2 to 3 times a week makes a lot of sense because there's a cost associated with working out. Usually, if you're doing a pay-per-class model, you have to get there. So there's probably, depending on where you live, you have to throw in a half hour to an hour just to get to the exercise place. You have to get in, you got to check in, there's a lot you have to do. So saying 3 to 4 times a week really does mean like almost 2 hours you took out of your day to work out. And now that people are working out from home, you can see the efficiency of not having to travel. And it's going to be really hard for people to give that up. And people, as we know, are creatures of habit. Like, again, when I say across the globe, I've seen clients, I've worked out in it all over the place, and creatures of habit, we are all creatures of habit. And I think that this quarantine is going to go on long enough that habits are going to be formed. And now going to the gym is going to seem less usual as it was before. And so I think that people might still go back 3 to 4 times. We've learned that we can work out 7 days a week. So we figured out that you could just plop down on your living room floor or your playroom floor, wherever, and get a really, really good workout in even 20 or 30 minutes. And there's apps that, and on our program, our video on demand program, you can pick the time frame. So you can do like an ab blast for 20 minutes. You can do arms and seat for 10 minutes. And I hope that people will start working out 5 to 7 days a week. I really, really do. I really want people to think, like, I can exercise for some period of time for the rest of my life much more frequently.
Yeah. Well, so let's go to a couple of questions that were posed on social networks. So Robert Jordan is asking, for those interested in investing in the fitness sector, what are the market opportunities post COVID-19?
That's a great question, and that's something that we're all thinking about. I do think so I just want to say one thing. Do not think that the fitness industry was in a healthy spot before this. I think one thing that I find interesting is that there's this talk about pre-COVID times. Pre-COVID times for fitness was not good. I mean, we do not want to go back to pre-COVID times. Not good. The fitness industry has it's saturated. Rents are high. The price, we did not have much pricing pressure. There were aggregators in there that were changing the business model. I've been doing this for 14 years, and I would say 2019 was, I think, from the complexion of the fitness industry in 2019 was not healthy. So what's going to happen, when you go into this new environment, is I think that half of the fitness companies probably won't be around anymore. I think we have to spend a lot of time or put a lot of consideration into the landlord relationships. That is, for us, usually for a fitness industry and retail in general, it can be up to 20, even maybe 25% of your revenue goes to rent. So that relationship that's fixed. The payroll part's variable, so we can kind of work that out. But we have fixed costs that we have to deal with. So if you can't get a good relationship, and I'm going to answer the question in a second, but I just want to go through the fundamentals, that not all fitness companies are going to come out of this alive, and it may not even have anything to do with the strength of the brand. It may be because you couldn't get it online fast enough. It may be because the product orientation online was just too much that clients just couldn't, like if you're, I'm just going to pick like rowing. Like if you're a rowing company and you're trying to go online, you might be great, but some people might not adapt to that. And so, not everyone's going to make it out alive. They're just not. And even some of the biggest brands, depending how much debt you have, and if you Google it, you'll see who's ripe for bankruptcy and who's not. And it's just the fundamentals of your business. So the good news is I think that there will be a real race for innovation, and some companies will come out stronger than ever
Jennifer, your volume cut out. We lost you. Jennifer? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we lost Jennifer's sound. Stay with us for a bit while we're solving it. Jennifer, can you hear us? Can you hear us? We can't hear you. Can you hear us? Can you hear us? Your sound has cut off. Nope, can't hear you. Our apologies, ladies and gentlemen. Give us 1 second, see if we can fix Jennifer's volume.
Oh, here.
There you go. We can hear you. We can hear you, Jennifer.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. You got frozen for just a little bit, but we can hear you now. Well, ladies and gentlemen, so sorry. We're experiencing technical difficulties. But listen, we appreciate you being with us. And we thank Jennifer for joining us today. And thank you for those who tuned in. And we will see you until next time. We'll see you next time on YPO Presents.